do it.
Right, right. Okay, so we can kind of just jump right into it. Just talk about
Okay.
what's your experience like as far as like coaching during COVID. Like, give me some ups and downs and some takeaways that any coach that's listening can kind of apply just based on what you seeing and what your team been going through.
I would say the hardest thing about coaching right now is just, keeping all the kids safe. Like once they're in the school, even if they're in the school, they're really not safe because they go into the classroom, they can catch it from a classmate. So what we're doing over at Whitfield is we're trying to have a lot of kids go remote and just come in and practice. But at the same time, when you have kids doing that, the school feel like they're taking advantage of, they don't want to come to school, they just want to play basketballs and sports. So that's the hard part of that as well. And as far as like the hardest challenges, not giving high fives, not trying to say that 6 feet distance, not telling guys, good job. When you do, instead of giving them a high five or something, you gotta give them knuckles or get elbow. And I just feel like you can't really, as coaches and even the players, sometimes get into it because there's no fans. It's even kind of like for the kids. Some of the kids need that raw to get them going. And it's hard for an empty gym to get going and get play and do your best. And sometimes a lot of these kids depend on their parents like to get them going as far as emotionally and keeping their heads up and keep them playing hard. They feel like with their parents said they got something to play for. Now with no parents in the stands, they just feel like, oh, it's just a game now.
Hmm. Yeah, I think on both ends, even for like us, it's just the just trying to keep the kids inspired through just all of the
Yeah.
craziness. And like you said, it's like we can start, then we'll stop. And then it's kind of like that uncertainty to where it's like you don't even know, and even I think about as far as game planning, we can game plan for a week and try to prepare for a team that may play a total different style than the next team that we play. That
Yeah.
game gets scrapped and all of this, game planning that's been went into trying to prep for one team, you got to switch it all up. And if you don't have an experienced team that understand game planning and understand that, it just may be a wash, and you just
No,
see.
that's true, and that's what we're going with. That's what's hard for us. Like we're a very young team right now. We basically a bunch of freshmen, sophomores that play bulk of our minutes right now. So we write some on the board. Like they understand it, but sometimes they fully don't. You just see in their eyes, like so you don't have that. So we only practice 14 days for our first game, and
Right.
day to day it can get shut down. All it takes is one kid to shut it down for 2 weeks, especially this late in the season. If someone catches just late in the season, your season can be a wash right now.
Yeah, nah, it's catchy. It's kind of like playing with fire. And then now I look at it too. Like we've only played 7 games, and I try to put it in the mind frame of, this is really a summer ball beginning of the season, like first 30
Yeah.
days of like, going into it. Like I said, man, we played 7 games. You looking at just a Thanksgiving tournament and maybe first couple games going into your conference that you
Yeah.
can kind of get ready to kind of figure out where you are. Now you lucky to get 10 games or
Yeah.
13 games,
Actually, I think we at 13 right now. And the positive thing is that I think that only came out of all this is teams that are scheduled now that wouldn't schedule you before because
Right.
everyone looking for games. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
in the meeting, I've been there 8 years. We've been trying to get CBC on the schedule, and this year they played this because none of those teams can actually go outside the state and play now. So they just trying to, like everybody else, just trying to get games. Everybody staying in state and playing local.
Right. And I hope the kind of the transition that we can kind of get from this even moving forward is the competitiveness when everybody get back to full strength. If we kind of see who are the tough local teams, and that means you may not be able to travel outside of the state, but it's going to bring more competitiveness to the
I
local
think so
guys.
too.
Like you said, certain rivalries that you would never even have before may start. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
was looking forward to playing you guys, and it just was like it was something that it couldn't happen based on, we just vowed to only play city teams based on we have to test every 2 weeks. And we had to shut down based on our football team. And it was one of those things where, I wanted to at least be as safe as possible. And looking back, it's like it's no way to determine if it was the right thing or if it was the wrong thing. I just felt like playing it safe would be the best thing possible right now. I just feel bad for the seniors that would
Yeah.
look forward to a Christmas tournament, a
Nah,
Thanksgiving tournament.
nah,
Like,
think about the juniors last year became seniors who didn't play any summer ball, who's trying to
right,
get scholarships.
yeah,
They try to go out there and play on that summer circuit.
and we gonna touch on that. So
Okay.
just to make the transition, I had Vincent Strata on here, and
Yeah.
Vince has been like a real instrumental part in not just my life, not just your life, but just a lot of folks at the grassroots level. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Take me back, and I love stories. Take me back to your first interactions with Vince, and then just getting introduced to the whole aspect of summer grassroots basketball.
Man, when it comes to, honestly, to this day, I don't know where I'd be if Vince never walked in the Valley Park gym and asked me if I want to try out for the St. Louis Eagles. I can say that to this day. Vince has groomed me, honestly, to the person who I am. When I say Vince he helped me set up my high school classes to my college classes to, this is the path you're going to take on to prep school. Like Vince he wrote on a game plan for me on a piece of paper, and I looked at him like, you sure? He's like, I said, if you think it's gonna work, let's do it, and I trust him to this day. And I call Vince, even to this day, me and my mama still laugh, call me that's your white daddy. Like that's his nickname. When he laughed, he said, even now he's like, yeah, I'm gay about that. Like, when I got inducted to Villanova Hall of Fame, the appropriate person was to introduce me was Vince. Vince was up there, gave the speech, introduced me. Again, man, without Vince, I'm not where I'm at. He taught me, how to be respectful, how to act when you get around certain people. When you get in situations, take advantage of those situations, and
Right.
and it can help you later in life. And he told me that, even if I got to Villanova, he told me that. And I always listened to him. I did my best to listen to him. Let's say, as a kid, you always gonna have your moments where you don't listen to the people you respect. But he told me, hey, when you get up there to Villanova, act like you got sense, and believe it or not, if you do those things and pay attention, alumni will give you a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that to heart. And to this day, I'm sitting here in St. Louis, Missouri, and I work for a Villanova alumni at an engineering company with no engineering degree. So that's a prime example of, going to the correct school and choosing correct school and just doing what you got to do. You get to Villanova or to your college, where it is, and taking care of business.
Mm-hmm. So what was it like growing up? So he introduced, or you got introduced to him at Valley Park. So let's just talk about like your upbringing, and like when was the first time you put the ball in your hand to say, this may be the path for me?
A lot of people don't know, like, basketball was not my first sport. I didn't pick up a basketball, honestly, and start playing organized basketball was with the St. Louis Eagles. But of course, I played every single day in my neighborhood. I didn't pick up a basketball to probably just say fifth grade, was the first time I ever picked it up, played it, and then played 1 year at Valley Park because my friends begged me to play, because every morning we used to go in the gym and play. They was like, man, you should try for the team. I'm like, man, I don't like basketball. I'm a baseball player. I love baseball because I grew up 2 miles from the Cardinals, from Busch Stadium. So it's Cardinals world down there. So like, I'm a baseball. Then my friend Kelsey was like, man, just try it. So I tried it, and I liked it. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Then I had a couple of friends in my neighborhood, like, let's go start playing in neighborhood. Start playing in the neighborhood. Everybody was like, yo, you should really try playing high school basketball. So I said, okay, man, I'll try it. I wasn't even trying hard. Valley Park was a small two-way school with really not a lot of competition coming in. I ended up making varsity without even really trying. And then I was just like, man, I'm stuck with it, And then fast forward a little forward, before they even happened, I'm playing in this gym, like this clay floor, dust everywhere, Valley Park, out in the boonies, a little small two-way school. And it's a gym like with no windows. We ended up just playing pickup ball, and Vince was like, hey, do you, I talked to your mother, do you want to try out for this basketball team? I was like, I really didn't want to. I was like, no, I've never played before. I don't know anything. Like, I tried out for the Eagles, ended up making it. Going into the Eagles, the Eagles couldn't believe it. I didn't know what 2-3 zone was. I didn't know man-to-man. I didn't know what set plays was. Only thing I knew was score.
Man. So Vince was a counselor at the time?
Vince was a counselor. Vince at that time, he was a counselor at Valley Park, but he jumped school district. So he's kind of like a freelancer counselor. And he was actually counseling my sister at that time, because my sister was having problems in the classroom, and he was helping her. And my mother was like, hey, I have a son who's good in basketball, so maybe you can help him and her at the same time. And Vince was like, sure, I tried it. And that's what he did. Like,
and we talk about relationships right there. Just having trust in somebody at a certain age, you put in the word. But you had to be ready and prepared, in a sense, when that opportunity comes, when they say opportunity is the best luck that you can have.
And the hardest thing to do is, where I come from, I grew up Jefferson Park. The hardest thing is trust a white dude. Go trust a guy who's unfamiliar with your neighborhood, who's not from your neighborhood, and trust him that he's going to lead you down the right path in life. Right. And for some reason, I trusted Vince, even when I did bad in school. Like, Vince was like, he was like my dad. My mother was a single mother. So he'd be like, yo, you do your homework, you do this, you do that. Like, Gary, it ain't going to work. This is what you got to do. One, I think going into probably my sophomore year, my grades wasn't the best. Vince Lee brought his computer to my house and made me study for my finals. You're talking about a kid who was 15 years old who was pissed. I was just like, but you got to respect it. Right. My mother was like, hey, he's here to help you. Do what he say. And I was like, man. And Vince stuck with me, man. Even when we fast forward a little forward, even when I was with the Eagles my first year, a lot of people don't know I quit the Eagles my freshman year. I'm like, I don't like this. Like, I don't like this. I want to play baseball. I quit. Believe it or not, man, I quit. I was hiding from Vince for like 3 weeks. Because he used to come pick me up every day because I know my mother was single. I didn't have a car. He would literally come get off work, drive to pick me up.
So he already making the commitment to saying, look, exactly. I'm gonna do this for you.
Exactly. And I quit like for 3 straight weeks. I knew his schedule because, you know what I'm saying, by then I was already into it. So I was like, okay, he's going to come around this time. He would literally drive my neighborhood, ask all the people, where am I at? And then one day I was like, no, they ain't going to tell on me. He caught to the right person. They told him, yo, Gary up there, go get him. And he went and made me come back to he was like, if you listen to me, you can go to college for free. And you can be the first person in your family to graduate from college. Just trust me, just stick with it. You can get a good education. You can make a fine living for yourself if you just trust me and believe into me.
And what a lot of folks that don't listen, and even if you're growing up around this basketball world and you start to see it now, because I mean, you start to see everything is more sports specific where you got training like all year round, was real instrumental. And what I think for folks that's listening and watching, that was real critical for players or even a youth's development is that time that once basketball season is over with, like, you know, late February, early March, it's going to start to get a little warm outside. You're going to start to find yourself getting into any type of trouble. The days are starting to get longer. It's real crucial to have some productive time in between, you know, that April all the way up into the summertime, going into the fall, because we've seen so many of our greats that just won't even take it serious and then get involved in some stuff that, you know, there's no coming back from. So that's real important to understand right there.
And that's one thing Vince did for me. Like, he made sure, he always told me, hey, if you ever need money, don't go sell drugs and everything. I would do my best to get you what I can. But at this time, Vince was a social worker. You know, at that time, it wasn't paying a lot of money, just him and his wife. And I think he had a kid later on. But he literally would just say, hey, if you need anything, don't do it. Think before you do something. Come to me if you need anything. And I never personally went to him for anything, but if I know, I could always lean on him for anything if I ever needed it, you know?
Right. So let's stay with freshman year. So freshman year, you have some success, and we're going to talk about just your crazy numbers. And it's funny that the fact of when you started out like your freshman year, when people always talk about even the competition level, regardless of the fact, if you able to at a varsity level, able to put up numbers and contribute and have some success, I mean, it's something that's there. So you have a great freshman year, you transition to the summertime. What was it about summer basketball that you really just didn't like as far as when it comes to the competition? Because once you play competition in the summer and you come back to high school, it's kind of like you messing around because you played at such high level that you're going to dominate the game. So talk about that transition.
The hardest transition for me was actually leaving Valley Park, who ran no plays. The plays was give it to Gary, and that was the play. We didn't run no set, anything. Then again, when I got to the Eagles, they teach you that 2-2-1. They teach you that zone. They teach you man-to-man. They teach you help side. So for me, everything was my first time learning. And I think that's why I absorbed everything so fast, because I was being taught like I was basically a kindergartner who just learned basketball. And I think I was able to absorb it really, really fast and pick up on it really, really fast. And then we went to actually that summer, Coach Gray was my coach, and we went down to nationals and we took 7th place. And Coach Gray was like, so what do you plan on doing, you know, next year? I was like, I don't know. He said, well, whatever it is. He turned to Vince, he said, you know, Coach Gray, get this MF a trainer because he's going to go to college, and don't let him do anything stupid. All right, see you. Have a good summer. He walked away.
Man.
And that's what Vince did. Like, literally, even my sophomore year, got transitioned to my sophomore year, even when that summer ended, I'll be going to the Eagles. Vince will be coming to my house at 7:00 Saturday morning, taking me out to Ladue to go with this shooting coach, Dennis Beckett, and then bringing me back then as the years went on, I was doing it during the season. We have a game Friday night. I would be up Saturday morning. I had goals when I walked in the gym. Like, as any kid working out, if you're not used to it, it's something that you don't want to do. I really have goals like, I hate doing this. I guess this is the way I thought of it. I'm gonna make as many shots as fast as possible so I can get out of here. That's it. And that's the way I thought. And every time I went to train, they would say, okay, you got to make 100 shots or whatever moves it is and 100 free throws. I said, bet. And after that, I was knocking it down for like 35, 40 minutes. I didn't want to be there. I'm like, I don't want to be here. So I'm just going to knock this out as fast as possible. And I don't think kids I guess I took a negative that I thought was a negative was working out into a positive. Like, well, if I got to be here, I'm going to do it the best I can and the fast I can so I can go do whatever I want to do. Either that was hang out with friends or take a nap or whatever. And that's how I came in and look at it. As far as the transition from summer to going back to high school, for me, it was so easy because, again, Valley Park, I don't think I had a kid who could even play Division III who was on my team. So everything I was doing, I wasn't even doing it 100% half of the time. So then when I got to the summertime, and you know me, B, I'm always an easygoing guy. I wasn't a thug. I didn't like I was a thug. I live in a bad neighborhood, but I still had that "you not gonna disrespect me" type attitude.
Right.
So a minute I've been in the court, I called it floating. I'm gonna tell you a story. We're playing Gerald Witherspoon. Remember went to
Gerald went to
Quadrata. Gerald, a great dude, good dude. Townsend is playing in Philadelphia, playing at Villanova. And Gerald having a great game. I'm just floating. I'm like, Gerald. And then he said to me, I don't think I had 2 points in the game at this time. This is first half. I think I may have had 2 points going to half. Before half, Gerald walks in my face and said, I'm going to beat you in your house. I said, what? Okay. 24 straight in the second half. He ain't scored a single bucket. If he don't say nothing to me, they might win. Because I was just happy to see another person from St. Louis and just happy to see, like, okay, Gerald here. I'm up in Philadelphia with nobody but you, me by myself. Nobody from the Midwest. It's nothing, just me. I was just happy to see Gerald. I can't tell Gerald, I'm happy to see you, man. Welcome to to Philadelphia. And I was like, no, man, you ain't gonna disrespect me in my house like that. Like, this is my house. I think I ended up scoring like 26 on it and let him score a single bucket. That's the attitude that I took. Like, I didn't care how good a player was, but you're just not going to disrespect. That's how it was. And that's when it goes back to the summer ball is once, know how the Eagles used to talk, the coach used to talk to that kid killing you. They will literally make me mad and make me go play against the other team harder. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't even the other team's fault, but that was their trigger to get kids going. And that was my trigger. Like, why is he disrespecting me? He said I can't do this. So I'm going to prove him wrong.
Right.
And that was my motivation. And it shouldn't have to come from them, but at that time it did.
Right. And I mean, you kind of touched on a couple of things, even when you was talking about the shooting coach. And right now we see so many kids doing training. And I think you were at that forefront of actually getting that. And like, when anybody asks me my top fives, who's the best person I've seen play, who's the best person I've seen, like I've literally seen you've accomplished the things that you based off hard work. And I just think a lot of us growing up, and even just in our era of coming up, we played so much. Like playing basketball, it was like about a reputation. We were always looking, especially just going into PHL school, we was always looking for the PHL city rivalries. You kind of on this island as far as when people looking in the scorebooks and they seeing, 35 from Buchanan and he's averaging this and averaging that. Did you ever feel slighted when people would just say, oh man, you ain't really playing against nobody. You're not playing against competition, but you dominating the game and then you proving it on the circuit against tougher competition on the national level. And that's
what I did. And that's what every time I heard, a couple kids like, oh, you play at Valley Park, you average 30. I say, okay, let's go see. When we get to the Eagles trial, if you make it, then you're gonna see why I average 30.
Right.
It's like one of those things. I didn't say it in a mean way. I just look, me, I wouldn't even talk like, okay. I was just shaking like, okay.
Right. And then but
since we step on this court.
But it's crazy because you were just talking about just the amount of shots and amount of practice and training that you put into this. And it's kind of like what they talk about, like right now, where everybody is on this Mamba mentality, when you hear all these stories of, Kobe just being locked in the gym, training, working on their game. Like you was doing that back in 97, 96, constantly putting in work. And I'll never forget, we got invited to the Nike All-American camp. And Vince, I think, asked me to come work out with you one day. And I walk in the gym and you knocking shots down. The trainer had us writing what we made down on the sheet. And we trying to keep up with this. And I'm looking like, man, I'm not going to keep doing this. Like, man, I just want to roll this ball out and hoop. But I'm looking at you as far as how precise you were in high school, and seeing that kind of that work ethic kind of play off into you dominate as far as high school. And then I got your stats real pulled up, but just right off the top of your head, what was it like to accomplish the feat of, we all talk about it and we feel happy of getting that 1,000-point ball like our senior night and it feel good. Man, how does it feel to be presented with a ball and you got 2,000 points, man? Like, just explain that, man. Walk me through that by reaching a milestone of 2,000 points.
I can't really explain it, for one, because not that I never really loved basketball, but basketball was never my first love. It was something to help me get out of my situation. And my situation was a single mother, go to college, get a job, do better than my mother. When it comes back to the 2,000 points, I honestly, I can tell you, I really don't care to this day. Like, I really, really don't care. To this day, the only thing I miss about basketball is what you said: getting better, getting in the gym, getting up shots, making myself better, playing hard. You know me, I wasn't the biggest, the fastest, or the strongest, but you wasn't going to stop me, because if you did something, cut this leg off, guess what? I'm gonna go to this leg. I'm gonna go to this one. I'm gonna find a way to beat you mentally, and that's one thing Dennis Beckett taught me. Like, literally, sometimes about when I became pro, I would really I would make 300, and I would keep track of every drill I did. I would know 20 out of 30, 10 out of 10. I would know we can do 8 moves. I can tell you what my percentages was. And it just came with thinking and playing. A lot of kids just play. Mm-hmm. They don't think. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, okay, for instance, if you're getting denied, you know your back door. It should be a natural reaction. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think I was able to do the things I would do against bigger, stronger, faster kids, because I think I beat them mentally instead of physically a lot of the times.
So where did that come from? Like, how did you develop that? Like, what muscle were you working on other than the sports aspect? But what's something in your life that you saying that kind of helped you develop into that? Because that's really like, that's like some secret.
You really want to know? It's gonna be really, really simple. You remember Kenji Stevenson?
Yeah, Kenji at Ladue.
I walked in Kenji Stevenson's house. He lived in Ladue at this time. I walked in his house and I was just like, what the, you live here? Like, it was nice. Like, I want to say at that time, it was like 3,000 square feet, middle of Ladue. I'm turning to the dad and say, I don't want to be rude, but what do you do for a living? Mm-hmm. And he was like, I do this, but for you, he literally had a basketball, said, if you do this orange ball one day and you stay focused and locked and do what you got to do, you can have a house like this someday. That stuck with me to this day. I was like, oh, all I got to do is make some jump shots. Oh, sign me up. and I just stayed locked in and focused. Like, I want that house. I want that car. I want that nice green grass. I want to be able to leave my doors unlocked. And I want to worry about what's going on outside my doors. Make sure my kids, when they grow up, are going to be safe. Don't have to walk down the street, worry about seeing violence. I was like, if I got to just play basketball and they can get me that, sign me up.
Man, because one thing, and it always, like you said, it's always something simple to the greats as far as like trying to just pencil in and hone in on one particular thing, but it's just that focus and that concentration that just night in, night out. And, when you just said it, as far as just being locked into the moment, every single part of the way, because you're saying like, look, at the end of this, it is kind of like taking a leap of faith, but it's like, at the end of this, I know this is going to pay off at some point. Let me just stay on it, stay on the grind. And so
every single time I saw Kenji in practice, I would think about the house he going home to and the house I'm going home to. I'm like, but I want that house. I don't like where I'm at, And that's what kept me like laser focused. Even playing at Valley Park, I'm like, okay, season over. I got to get in the road. I got to get a scholarship. My goal is get a scholarship. It was nothing my mother did wrong. It was just more
Mm-hmm.
like I just became obsessed with getting a scholarship and being able to give my family or my kids in the future like a great life. My whole thing was I was thinking about having kids and having them a great life, even if I even had kids. It's more like this is what I want my kids' lifestyle to look like. This is what I want my family to be like. And of course, it's never going to be like where I came from. It was like, okay, this is what I want. This is my goal. Just stay locked in on it. And to this day, like I'm still like, even when I walk in my house, I'm like, damn, you live here? A type thing, type thing.
But so, I mean, it's that hard work. And then like, even just when we talk about, and I want to kind of stay right in there just real quick, as far as like that summer transition, as far as like even the competition that we playing against, because at this time I'm watching you and you always have to have like that model. And then I think that's when me and you kind of came real tight, because I'm always looking at, okay, I was a big geek as far as looking in the magazines. When I first got locked into the high school scene, I dove all the way in, and I'm like, kind of like, I'm looking to see, okay, what is he doing that I'm not doing, that he's getting that attention for me to be this kind of a step above everybody. And so one thing that I used to always look at as far as when we travel and we played out of town, okay, who are we going up against, and what guy head I got to take off when we playing in order for me to get that recognition. Do you have one person that you can kind of say was like your rival in the summertime that you couldn't wait to play on the circuit, that you just like, man, I know once I get to this person, I'm going to kind of show out?
No, I didn't really follow people too much. Again, I wasn't really into sports, but what I couldn't wait to get to was that Boo Williams camp. Because with that Boo Williams tournament, because I knew doing Boo Williams, like I can't forget my first Boo Williams, man. Krzyzewski was there, Smith was there. Any coach you could think of would sit on the sidelines watching. I was like, oh yeah, I don't care who they step out here and where he ranked at. He finna get these buckets.
Man, that's tough. And so talk about even just you making that transition, even because I know a lot of kids, I think right now the big thing is like, when even like during COVID, you saw a lot of kids go prep or try to do some type of post grad, I guess, like playing just to get out of the framework of like these state, organizations that's basically telling kids not to play. What was your life like, or what was the transition like playing prep? Because you were one of the first around here to go prep. And why and how did you make that transition?
The reason why was my birthday is June 30th. So even when I went to prep, I was still only 18 years old. So even when I got to college, I was just 19. So theoretically, by the birthday being so late, I was a year ahead in the classroom, but a year behind. I can go a year behind and still be in the same age bracket as everyone else before me. And the reason why was, again, it was Vince. Vince was like, hey, you can take this scholarship now. But personally, he said, man, first of all, you're too skinny, you're too slow right now. I personally think so. We should go this prep route to help you get bigger and stronger, to be ready for college when the time is right.
Who were some of your top schools at that time right there? Not before you went prep.
I had Texas. I had Wichita State. I had Southern Illinois. I had Clemson. I had a lot of big time offers. And Vince just looked me in the face like, you're not ready. I'm thinking to myself, who ain't ready? He's like, you're not ready. I'm extremely skinny. And he was like, you're not ready. And then by me going to prep school, when I got to prep school, man, it's nothing like East Coast basketball. When I say I walked in the gym, the only kid from the Midwest is kids from straight New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts. I went from a team with no basketball players to playing every single day with 19 different Division I players. We had 19 kids in the gym every day practicing against each other. And the coach was just weeding out. You go on second team, you go on first team, who the starters, who not. And I was just like, they take this, like basketball there is life. Like that's their way out. I thought it was my way out, but this really, really their way out. And I was like, man, so we practice every day. We practice. I'm like, okay, I can do this. After a while, become the starter. The guys start running the offense through me. I'm like, okay, so he really believed. He's like, Gary, run the offense through it. Gary, we're going to do this. We're going to run you off these screens. You're going to do that. And I was just like, so I guess I am really as good as everyone say I am when you get to the point where you got 19 kids and 12 can make the first team and you're the go-to guy. I was like, okay, let's do it. And he was a great dude. He did a great job of putting everyone in a position to succeed. He didn't let you do anything that was out of your framework, because in his mind, his job was to get all 19 guys a scholarship to somewhere. Mm-hmm. Coach Quinn did a great job of putting me into ball screens, running off screens, using screens, passing the ball. And then by the time I got to Villanova, I had been playing against Division I players the whole entire time. Mm-hmm. So when I got there, it was really no adjustment. The only thing I had to adjust was the speed. And I think once I adjusted to the speed, I was starting in 4 games, because I had already been doing it for a full year every day. We had a kid on my team. One went to Iowa State. He was on that Final Four team. We had a kid that went to Cal. We had a kid that went to Fordham. They ended up transferring to USC. We had a kid go to Pitt. We had a kid go to Virginia. Like, this is big time schools, and you all in one gym every single day, 9 months. Like the day I dropped my bag off was in September. We practiced that whole entire year. Your job was, my job personally, when I got, because I had my ACT score at the time, my job was to only focus on basketball. I wasn't there for grades. I already graduated.
Right. And that's a key. And that's a key that a lot of folks don't understand, is like, if you do the work early and take her all of that, now you gotta, I won't say a grace period, but the pressure of you having basketball and then grades on top of that type of pressure is a whole nother pressure that you have to deal with. Now you able to kind of sit back and absorb everything and know, like, look, I'm good. I just got to focus on ball.
We had study hall, and it was good. It was a good experience for me as well, as far as academically, because we would have study hall every night as well. So if I got everything done, and then we went into the ACT, SAT, like prep and get ready for it. Since I already had the score, they literally told me, go in the gym, get up shots. Because during that year, then the Big East people started recruiting me. I could have left in the middle of the season and started my college that way, because I already had the score.
Right.
And my coach would say, no, just stay focused. Instead of doing a semester in college, the semester playing, just get your 4 year, just wait. Mm-hmm. And it worked out, turned out. And the key thing for me, what I personally was looking for, like in the school, was I was trying to pick a school that fits my style of play. Mm-hmm. I never been a one-on-one break you down type offensive player. I was more cerebral, using screens, coming off screens, making the correct pass, making the correct cuts. And when you look at Villanova at that time, and who was playing in front of me, how many years they had left, look at Villanova at that time, all the seniors were leaving. And then you had a couple of juniors. So I figured I'll be playing my sophomore year. What happened to come out, I outplayed some of the sophomores and juniors. I ended up taking a starting spot 4 games into the season as a freshman.
And not only do, and I know you don't really, you saying that you don't take the time and like smell the roses, but do you know the accomplishments that you've done as far as like leaving that legacy of being a St. Louis baller from the city of St. Louis, homegrown, and then making that transition to being like your name in lights of a Big East school. Like, we all grow up wanting to talk about the rivalries, but you've actually played against the Georgetowns, the Syracuse, and been in those atmospheres where those schools have to game plan against you. And like you said, like, you were the type of person that no matter what, like, you were real strategic in how you played. Like, you could put on a clinic just based on technique, footwork, all the things that I think, is real hard to really teach, because I'm fortunate enough to, be in a situation where, I can kind of, break stuff down, but then that extra, the little bitty nuances of it coming from a shooter, because like I tell folks, people look at me as a shooter and I'm just like, nah, you got to see Gary Buchanan shoot the ball. And I found myself always, like I said, studying your technique, studying the things that you do. How was it you making that transition, playing through Villanova, but locking yourself into where your name is in the history books of the NCAA? Like, talk about, when did that hit you that you were on pace to do something that's like would never be done before in certain situations?
It hit me actually my junior year when Coach Wright took the job, because we actually took a visit to the Massachusetts Basketball College Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. So when I walked through there, I'm just literally, and everything I had on is sitting in glass, like from my shoes to my socks to my jersey sitting in the glass. I'm like, that's me. And that's when like, oh, I guess I really did do something good. You're just walking around, your teammates come look like, oh yeah, that's you. Yeah, you did that last year. Like, that's when I sunk in like, oh, that's kind of big time right there.
So for the folks that's listening, and so I'm gonna just take you through what now this is this coming from, and we'll talk about all your accomplishments and your accolades, but it says you had a 73 consecutive free throw streak, right? Was the most, so you broke the record of 64. Was 64 the record at the time?
Mm-hmm.
And yours went to 73.
73. Mm-hmm. And I think, and honestly, I think that goes back to me training. When it goes back to me training,
Oh, yeah.
My goal was shoot 100 free throws back in high school, shoot 100. But my goal to myself was always make 90. Even though my shooting coach never told me I got to make 90, my goal was 90%, 90%, 90%, 90%. I go 4 years in college where I shoot 90%. And I think it just all falls in line back to that. Make 9 out of 10, make 9 out of 10, make 9 out of 10, make 9 out of 10.
So hold on, man. 97 out of 103. That was your career?
That was my sophomore year when I won the free throw shoot. I was a nation leading free throw shooter that year. Yeah. I shot 103 and made 97 of them.
Man, 94%.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to, like you said, them repetitions and honestly just getting in the gym. And no matter what noise was going on, anything was going on, all I saw was me in the rim. I didn't think about missing. Only thing I thought about was make. Every time I got finally thought, well, such for you. You gave me 2 free points. I would never go up there thinking I'm gonna miss these.
Man, but did you ever like you had the same routine, right?
Yeah.
Nothing changed.
Nope.
Like what would go through your mind when you was at the line?
Do your routine. Do what you do. Do what you practice 1,000,000 times. Dribble the ball 3 times, spin it on the left hand. For some reason, look at the person, feet in the left block, up, shot.
And that was just like automatic.
That was it. That was my routine.
Now, did any teammates ever like, we're not gonna mess with Gary at the free throw line? Did like any type of, so did you ever give dap after you make it, and then get back up there? Or
I would do my routine and just go in and shoot. And the crazy part is everybody expected me to make it. Like if you go back to tape, half of the time, the coaches, everybody wouldn't even be paying attention. Like, oh, he's gonna make these. What we doing next? Even my team, when we get in practice, you got to run and shoot free throws. 4 years never got picked to shoot. They're like, he gonna make. I don't care how tired he get. You just gonna keep running. Now, they would literally go through the whole team, skip me. Oh yeah, skip Gary. We gonna run. Next person, start over.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Because for me, it was just the way I thought about it at that time. It was just something this is something I do. This is what I do. Now people say, this is what I do. That's what I did. Making free throws and making shots and scoring was just, it's just the way I felt. This is just what I did.
Man, nah. So that's crazy. So no, I'm just looking at this, man, and this just don't make no sense. Some of the stuff that you've accomplished, man. And like I said, like now, what is your approach to when you coaching the game as far as trying to instill that in younger guys, as far as how they need to prepare and prep for games, just like, because I know it probably drives you crazy if you maybe see something that's like, look,
it does.
I can't deal with this.
I try to tell my whole, when I come to approaching coaching, I say, hey, I have done what you're trying to do. So just listen to me, please. And it's hard for them to listen because even if they never see me play, they can just go by stats. Half of them haven't even Googled me before on my team. That's all. He was just good with the end. And I try to tell them, just listen to me. And what I try to do is when it comes to coach, like, hey, did you see how he was guarding you? Yeah, he's going into the ball screens. Okay, so if he's going underneath, either tell your person to rescreen or just back cut. Why I do that? That ain't the play. No, play basketball. Like, you got to play the game within the game. And I think a lot of them don't understand it. And I think it comes from, again, going outside. Like, I grew up in the Heedman Park days. If you want to go to Heedman Park and play, those old heads wouldn't let you play unless you understood the game. If you take any type of dumb shot, do all this between the legs, shot up, they're gonna be, hey, get this kid off the court. If you want to play with those guys, you got to play their way. And I learned that at an early age. Okay, if I want to play, I got not do what he say, but I want to play. So therefore, I'm gonna listen to him somewhat and just take the easy shots, take the layups, no dumb jump shots, pass in the post. They want to go in the post, cut off of it. And I think that's what got me able to play and think while playing at the same time. Like a lot of kids say, oh, the kid's denying me, so I can't do this, or this is happening, so I can't do that. Like this, there's always another option,
or something that's going on the court. Yeah. Like some people can only play with the ball in their hand.
Exactly. And I was never one of those people who could play with the ball in my hand, because I didn't. That's just something I didn't have. I didn't have that in my game to right to left crossover, left to right jump shot, or whatever. For me, I had to do it more strategically, coming off screens, coming off down screen. When I did get in the ball screen situation, I knew the big had to step up because he wasn't going to give me the shot. So I actually knew if I start driving or whatever to a certain person, like for instance, if I know I'm coming down to BT's side and he's made 3 threes in a row, even before I turn that corner, I know you already made 3. So I know he's going to help. So I already know where our next pass is at. And if I came off to a non-shooter side, I knew he was a non-shooter. I knew he was going to help too. So just got to make a decision like, okay, if I go to his side, is he going to help or stay? So if he stays, keep going over to the lane. If he stays, the other guy's going to rotate. You got to know where the next pass is automatically. So you, as a player, you got to know all 5 spots on the floor. Like I used to love my freshman year. I used to love playing with Malik Allen, who ended up going to the NBA, because I knew every time I drove, no matter what side of the floor, he was going to be on that right. He was going to be on that side of the floor, elbow. Mm-hmm. So I just know, just hook it right there. Then you have to look, because I knew he was going to be there. Because I knew his tendencies. I knew part of the plays what he was supposed to do. So when they started taking that away, I just told Malik, hey, and Malik said, hey, they taking away. I'm going to go opposite block. So then I'm like, opposite block hook. There's like stuff like that kids don't game plan and don't think. They say, well, coach here run a play like this. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can still run that play, but you can still do other things inside that play that's not inside the play that coach showed you to do at the same time.
Right.
And I think that's the hardest part for kids to understand. Again, I tell our kids all the time, play the game within the game. If he's denying you, just run off screens. If he's holding you, chop his hands off of you. Do whatever you got to do to get over.
Mm-hmm. Or just, the main thing is just making sure that you try to contribute to the game in more ways than just scoring, Yeah. And that's the thing that, and I tell folks all the time, is just like, watch the guys setting the screens. Like if you find somebody that's just very valuable on any team, you're going to find somebody that's setting screens out there and creating some space. And that may be just his job, but he brings so much value to a team, and he may not even play, like you touched on a good thing, as far as we all know that old head that's at the Y, at the gym, on the playground, that's killing folks and not really doing a whole lot, but he understands how to play the game,
Exactly. It's just effortless.
And the crazy thing about it is that's when you got a hooper, because if you take his quickness away, if you take the strength away, he's still gonna find a way to contribute to the game, and he playing winning basketball,
Exactly. And that's exactly what you said. You described me. That's exactly what I did. Mm-hmm. Like you take away the jump shot, even though I know I'm going to drive the ball. If you're going to give me a layup, I'll take it. But most of the time, the coaches don't want 2 feet in the paint, so you got to help. Mm-hmm. So even though I'm not scoring, even though I'm making an extra pass, extra kick, I'm still contributing to the game. I'm getting him shots. I'm getting him shots over here. I'm using this screen. I'm using that. Like I had a teammate, Brooks Sales. I think I scored 1,800 points in college. I guarantee 1,000 is off his screen. I would be running down the court. He'd be like, yo, I'm about to screen him. Get over. He didn't want a single shot. All he wanted to do was rebound and screen. He just wanted to play winning basketball. He's my friend to this day. We still talk to this day.
So all right. So Villanova win a national championship. What is it like you sitting watching her, knowing that you've pretty much laid kind of the foundation for those guys getting there, whether if you want to kind of realize it or not, but you carrying the torch or they carrying the torch as far as like that foundation that you laid down or your teammates laid down. So talk about that and how you felt.
Now that's sometimes an unbelievable feeling, because believe it or not, to this day, I get free tickets to any Villanova game I want to go to. So the 2 finals, 16 and 18, I was like in the stands for those games. And every time I go in the locker room, Jay Wright says exactly what you just said. Like, he's one of the first ones who started this guard play. he's one of the first ones who got us where he's the first ones that actually held us up when our coach left, and he was one that kept the school going and people still thinking of Villanova basketball because Gary was here. Because again, I wanted to when he came in, I was transferring. I called Lorenzo Romar like, yo, I'm coming home. Like, it's no reason for me to stay here. The guy's not here recruiting me. And Coach Hart's like, just give me a chance. And Ben, Vince, just stay there. You played there 2 years. You stay committed to the school. Again, I trusted him and I stayed. And again, it all worked out in the end, but it's an unbelievable feeling because every time you walk in, Coach says the same thing. Like, Gary, great guy, great kid. Even when I got inducted to the Hall of Fame, he came the night before the game. They played UConn. He came, made sure he took pictures with my family, took her, told me, hey, thank you. And he did a little contribute to me on the video again. So it's just one of those feelings where it's a, Hall of Fame coach still acknowledges what you did. Was it almost 20 years ago now to this, and it's just a great feeling. Every time you watch it, even time I watch it on TV, like, you can't see my basement over there. I got all type of Villanova stuff. I got jerseys and stuff hanging up. Or,
rightfully so. I mean, come on, man. Yeah. Rightfully so. Like, I just look, I'm watching, like, they got this. I'm looking at a jersey that, and it was back in the day, but this jersey, it's just in my mind. It's the Nike jersey that with Villanova 22 on it, and I'm just like, man, like, I know that guy. Like, he straight put it down for Villanova, Big East basketball, and even like you said, to this day, when I'm watching them win national championships, when I hear them talking about Villanova, I'm like, he one of the guys that laid that foundation down. And not only are you represented as far as being a Hall of Famer at Villanova, you are retired, you got your jersey retired, Hall of Fame at Valley Park, and then you came home and you were inducted into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. What was that like, being recognized by your overall accomplishments as a player, being inducted into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame?
Honestly, I didn't think people paid that much attention to me because I was at Valley Park. I played at Valley Park, so I didn't think people really paid that much attention to what I was doing on, just say, a national stage and also at a high school stage. But it just makes you feel good that people appreciate the hard work you put in to get to that point of getting inducted to the St. Louis Hall of Fame. And it's a lot of, it's an honor because there's a lot of people who play basketball from St. Louis, from the city, from the state, from whatever. They pick you to be inducted into the St. Louis Hall of Fame. So it was a great honor.